This is Crunch Your Health. Today we're going to look at something pretty cool. I received this book probably about 3 weeks ago, Healing and Prevention Through Nutrition. It's a natural, holistic approach to how to eat, what to eat, and why for optimal health and wellness. The author is Avita Oshel. This is what it looks like. And she is a certified holistic nutritionist, biologist, educator, writer, and speaker in the areas of nutrition, natural health, and holistic wellness. So, going back about 3 or 4 days ago, I was looking through the book and I decided to take just a small portion or a snippet from this book and come up with a breakfast idea, a healthy breakfast idea. In the past I did quite a few of them with the different types of whole grains, whether it was from Bob's Big Mill or even Quaker, where you take your oatmeal, and I added some of my own stuff, whether it was medjool dates or flaxseed, hemp seed, different berries, whether it was wild blueberries and stuff. So when I came across this, and knowing that breakfast is pretty important, I saw a section in here where she was making sort of like smoothies, healthy smoothies for breakfast. And I looked at it, I said it was pretty cool because she has 4 different areas: the greens, which is your greeny leaf vegetables, which is an alkaline food, which you really need in your diet. And she gives you a whole list of them. And I chose to use kale and spinach for my smoothie. And then it gives fruits, whether it's bananas, pineapples, and the list goes on. I'm not going to give them all to you. So I chose a banana, and I use medjool dates. And then there's healthy proteins. So again, she used quite a few different types. And I used, I think, hemp powder, and a nut butter, which was almond, and then healthy fats, and I used flax seeds. But she doesn't believe in, you won't see any recipes in here, but what she's trying to do is give you different tips and options on how to make a variety, because if you put, everybody knows if you put one recipe in, that's what everybody's going to use, and they're not going to go outside the box and try to do different stuff. So I came up with with one of her ideas, smoothies. Came out good. I mean, it tastes really good. Who would ever think you can take green vegetable leaves like kale and something and make something good out of it? Well, it tasted great. I've made 3 or 4 since that time. They all taste really good. So today we're going to look at this book, Healing and Prevention Through Nutrition. And and to start off, you're probably wondering how I even came up with something to this. About, I guess, 2005. I was sort of living the American dream, eating whatever I wanted. I think I was up to like 3 12-ounce cans of pop per day, 2-liter bottle when I got home from work. There's a Dr. Pepper. You ever see the commercial? I think back then it was a guy dancing across the street with all these people. You be a pepper, I'll be everybody wants to be a pepper. So that's what I was, and I think to boot it off, one of my friends says, geez, it has prune juice in it, so that's even healthy for a pop. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty good. It is healthy. So even looking back there, I can remember all the times when you get, who remembers those sandwich cookies? I think they're Oreos, where you twist them apart and you lick the center out. And even go one better, how about the Little Debbie's or the little ho-hos, where you try to unwrap them and you take the chocolate, try to get it in a big square without breaking the pieces, and try to eat it like section by section. So, I mean, there was a lot of fun in eating poorly, but it caught up with me. So, like I said, back in 2005, I was approaching obesity. I'd wake up in the morning with severe headaches. I had acid reflux. My back was horrible. I'd have to get down on the floor and push myself up. I decided to do something about it. I went to the doctor, and from there he gave me some Nexium and took a blood test to see where I was with all of my cholesterol and stuff. So within a month, I think it was maybe a couple weeks, I should say, I was right back there, and we discussed the different, no, it was a month. We were discussing my results from my blood test, and I says, hey, you know what? I had some real severe stomach pains, and this was November, so I thought, well, heck, you know what? November around here, especially in the Ohio area, it's probably flu season. I just caught the flu, but I just passed it on as a flu. I didn't have any conditions or any of the stuff that you associate with a flu. It's just that I had tremendous stomach pains. So I told him Nexium was a little bit, it wasn't a generic drug. I wanted something where it was cheaper. And he says, well, that's the least of your problems. He says, you got high triglycerides, you have to change your diet, you also have high cholesterol, and there was a few other things. So he gave me Lipitor, and we changed the other, I think, from my acid reflux to another drug. So I figured, okay. I go home, and he says, I want to see you in three months. We'll see how your levels are. So within, I think, 4 or 5 days of taking these pills, I had these severe stomach pains again, right there. And then I says, this isn't going to work. So I threw the pills away. I says, I'm going to have to start learning all over. Even though 20, 30, 40, 50 years of eating bad, I'm going to have to learn how to eat overall again. So one of my first approaches, and I had some goals, and with exercising and stuff, I was able to drop 60 pounds with not too much trouble, actually. But some of the things that I started off with is, my first goal was no more soda, no more pop. Gave it up. I haven't had pop since 2005. Another one was giving up all the fast food places, all the fried chicken, all the hamburgers, all that. Haven't been back since. So you tend to try to set up goals and try to get further into your eating. So one of the biggest ones, I can't believe I did this, but I was going around the supermarket looking for every box that had a heart on it. If it had a heart, it meant it was heart healthy, and it was going to be for me. So I'm going around, and my whole heart's full of all these boxes and packages with this big, huge red heart. And you could see the people coming, and it's almost like I think they saw my heart, my cart beating, because it was so red with all these hearts. So I got into doing that. Then all of a sudden I started looking for all these other box labels and stuff, whole grains, no trans fat, fat-free, sugar-free, sodium-free, all the different things that I figured would improve on my health. So I went with it. And the next thing was the media. I'll tell you what, you ever hear the song by The Who, Pinball Wizard? That was, I think my head was the ball in their game, going off in all directions. Every single week there was something healthy on some type of food that I told my wife, I said, oh my God, dark chocolate. There's health benefits in it. Go to Walmart quickly. They're going to sell out so quick. We're going to be out of a health benefit. Go now, buy it. So, and then the next time it was the egg. I says, oh my God, there's going to be a rush on the eggs. The media just said it's good. Go get it. Hurry up. So, I mean, and then the next week the egg wasn't any good. I says, I wonder if they'll take all 20 dozen eggs back. Is it no good? So you keep going, and you try to keep, because like I said, you got to put a real value in your health. So probably about a year ago, searching online, I kind of met up with and started blogging with Vito Chell, and I learned a lot of stuff from her, and stuff that I thought was healthy, and that's a main part of the book. What really is healthy? And you can go around and around in your head. Okay, it's healthy. It doesn't have a lot of sugar. It doesn't have a lot of sodium and stuff to that effect. But in fact, let's go through the book here. So we'll start off, and like I said, this is a great book for just if you wanted it. I mean, I would recommend reading it, and then it's great to have as an educational device. Say if you're out and you're really not sure of a particular food group. What did she say about it? What I can't remember, and I always have a trouble with like my breads and cereal, because you go in the aisle of the grocery store, it's like tons of cereal. And what would I tell you? What would you say if I said that all the cereal in the different boxes, it's just junk? You know, look at me, this is crazy. Hey, it's here, it's our food. We've been eating it forever. But no, we'll have to find out why in here. How about the different breads? Everybody says, oh, it's the enriched white flour, but a lot of people are getting wheat bread and stuff like that. Well, it's not necessarily good either. So in here, we got a few, part one, it's a couple different parts. How to eat for optimal health, and what to eat for optimal health, how and what to eat. So, and what I like about it is we can set our own goals on how to achieve, maybe how to get some goals set up to, say for instance, you hear on the news seeds and nuts are good for you. Okay, maybe that's a simple one we can try out. Okay, we go to the store, we're looking at the seeds and the nuts. What's the first thing you see on the package? They're all sodium. That's a pretty good starting point. Well, we can avoid those. We don't, when it comes to raw seeds, raw nuts, that's not raw. We don't want any type of sugar coating, salt, chocolate, oven roasted. We want just raw stuff. So in here, it gives you a lot of different areas to improve on your health. So let's go through some of the chapters here. And what I like about it is, okay, let's go through like understanding the basics of food. Now I'm not going to give you a whole lot here because I mean you really need to get the book. The confusion of healthy, like I said, different people have different meanings of healthy. I know a couple people, they're vegetarians. Everybody thinks vegetarians eat healthy. That doesn't mean much when they're eating processed foods. They're still eating desserts. Just because they don't eat meat doesn't mean they're eating healthy. Another particular gentleman, he runs probably about 8 miles, 10 miles a day. And he's skinny, looks healthy. I've heard people over and over say, oh yeah, my aunt or my uncle, they died in their 50s of a heart attack. And they were a health nut. Well, that doesn't mean they eat healthy. They just exercise and exercise. Well, that's what this particular gentleman did. 8 miles a day. And I says, well, what do you eat? And he says, I don't watch what I eat. He says, I go eat steaks, I eat French fries, I have chicken, whatever I want. So that doesn't necessarily mean just because you're skinny, you're eating healthy. So getting back to the book, it says, what does healthy really mean? Learning how to eat healthy. And she gives you all different types of pointers on how to do different things. Then chapter 2, we got eating natural, goes into the nutrients of foods. And you always wonder about your fruits and vegetables, about chemicals, and how about your meats, all the different antibiotics that they feed the animal. She goes through all this type of stuff. And a case of sodium, sodium I always thought was good, but it's just, we eat too much of it and it's the wrong type. If you have pink Himalayan salt and stuff, a little bit here and there, it tends to be very, very nutritious. Natural food is the natural way to go. Practical tips on eating natural. Now, here's one that I never knew until I started reading the book and blogged with her. Most people don't know about eating alkaline, and that's what's so good about the smoothies, because that's your green leafy vegetables. You need a lot of that. And she goes into why eat alkaline and what's wrong with eating acidic foods. And a lot of that is your dairy products, even your whole grains. And what does it do to some of the organs in our blood, because she goes through all that with the pH and that of the different with alkaline and the different foods, and she gives you the practical tips for eating alkaline, and there's like 8 of them. In chapter 4 we go right into eating plant-based foods, understanding the power of plants, why eat plants. All plants are not created equal. Like I said, a lot of them you want the leafy greens. Now we got another one. People don't know about eating raw. Like I had problems with like eating raw vegetables. A lot of people like to cook them. Well, eating raw is just that. You're eating it in a raw form, but you can also do a little bit as far as steaming some of your vegetables. Now, of course, your potatoes and stuff, you're going to have to cook those. And there's other ones, but she explains all this. Moving right along. She gives practical tips for eating raw. Now, eating organic, like I said, there's a lot of pesticides and stuff. She goes around through explaining everything. making sense of what organic really means, because a lot of people don't, just because the package says it, there could be other things there. Practical tips for eating organic. Part 2 is what to eat for optimal health, because a lot of the foods, believe it or not, that we eat, once they go through the process system, I guess we can consider them the dead. And those are the ones that are creating all the illnesses, all the diseases, the cancers, the obesity, where the other side of the wall is all the raw foods. Those are the ones that protect our bodies. They're the ones that fight the diseases, the illnesses. And if you do everything correctly, you shouldn't really get sick, and very often, I should say. So what about eating everything in moderation? You always hear that, oh yeah, you can have, and the thing is, whenever you hear something, you can eat that in moderation, it's always towards a bad food. It's never towards something good. So if you ask somebody, oh yeah, here's a donut, have it in moderation, or here's a pie, it's not a big deal, everything in moderation. She goes through why the food guide pyramid isn't enough. And a lot of people think that a vegetable should be a side dish off to the side and off of your meal where you have the meat in it. Really, your vegetable should be your main goal or main priority of your meal, with just a little bit of the right type of meat, grains, stuff like that, your protein. So then she's going through the easiest path of knowing what to eat. Gives you a bunch of different hints. Fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes, whole, unprocessed grains, the nuts, seeds, and she goes on. I can't give you everything. We move into the fruits and vegetables, why they're so great as far as the macro and the micronutrients, fiber, healing and prevention, what these do for healing and prevention that you need to know. Gives you all kinds of list of everything, the leafy vegetables, the bulb vegetables, everything you need to know. And like I said, you hear of all these different diets out there, and I'm not going to name them, but they throw you in all different directions. This here, she's taken the foods to make the diet that we need for the rest of our life. It's not a funky type of thing. It's just, I mean, it's true raw stuff that we should be eating. And here she says, practical tips for eating fruits and vegetables. And here's a key one here. Avoid canned vegetables and vegetable juices. I'm not going to go into that. It tells you right here. But these are just some of the things that you need to really look for. Chapter 9, we go right into the beans and legumes. High fiber, nutrients. Gives you the different varieties. Why do we want to get the dried versions instead of the canned? Whole unprocessed grains. There again, we're looking at stuff that we should have as far as whole grains, quinoa, barley. Wheat is not one where you go in there and it's unriched white flour, wheat flour, or some of the people are putting down now wheat flour. Well, it's not whole grain, and so we're going to move right along here. Whole grain choices for you. She tells you right here. Barley, various bran, brown rice, buckwheat, and there's a bunch of different ones. Quinoa, oats, not to give any more out. Practical tips for eating grains, which is pretty key. Here's the one I told you, nuts and seeds. Gives you all the different types, how to soak them if they're too hard. Now here's one for what I like about this book. It's not preaching about being a vegetarian. It's telling you that you can have animal products. It gives you a rule of how much to eat, what to look, why to stay away from a lot of the store ones where it's just all, where they feed the cows and the sheep and all that other stuff, different antibiotics and stuff. She tells you everything you need to know, what the problem is. A big thing is what we drink. Like I said, I was big time into drinking sodas and stuff. She'll tell you about water and other drinks. What do you think the most important drink is? We're all made out of water, so that's a pretty big key. It's water. Now she goes through the types of water. Believe it or not, there are ways at looking at water. She goes through all the different things on coffee and tea, and what the biggest thing in a lot of our juices are. It's high fructose corn syrup. In fact, high fructose corn syrup's in a lot of our stuff. What's wrong with regular or vitamin water? I mean, the list goes on. It's just a really cool book. It lists everything. Healing and prevention. How much water is the right amount? We're going into the other foods. Now this is a big one with oils. I mean, it goes through the coconut oil. And I was always under the assumption that coconut oil was bad. Here it's actually a superfood, grapeseed oil. And she gives you the ones that you can actually stir fry, because a lot of these things you can't use in heat. So herbs and spices, what's wrong with all our condiments and salad dressings, and the sweeteners. She goes through a lot of this white sugar, high fructose. She explains why they're not healthy and what some of our healthy choices are. Goes through some of them. You guys have heard about agave nectar and stevia. She goes through some of these things. Your sugar substitute. Now she goes through some really good ones that are healthy, like your raw maple syrup, honey, medjool dates. Even a lot of you guys probably don't know about fermented foods. Goes through the fermented foods, mushrooms, sea vegetables. I'm trying to hit everything for you guys. Supplements. A lot of people, I know I was big for supplements. I probably had about 23 per day. There were so many of them, from vitamin E and C and all the different vitamin Bs, and I mean, the list goes on. Flaxseed pills, and I think there was fish oil. So she goes through a lot of those vitamins, and why, if you eat natural foods, you don't need a lot of these stuff. Now here's we're going right into, we're going to skip some of this. It's a lot of stuff on vitamin D. Of course you need that. That isn't too much in the way of pills. That's as much as getting out in the sun. But she explains all this type of stuff. Now here's what I like. It's meal ideas. A lot of people give you different types of healthy recipes and stuff. She just doesn't believe in doing that, because once you put a recipe down, people follow that and they don't alter it. So in this book, like I did on the breakfast meals, she gives you a lot of different choices, and she doesn't give you exactly one where you have to use your own experimentation to come up with different types of and you figure if she's got 4 different areas and each one has 10 different types of foods, you can come up with a lot of different smoothies, I should say. And she gives you different lunch and dinner meal ideas, all kinds of different a few charts on different, and she gives you like lentil soups, different soups, what to put in them, possible flavor enhancement. Moving right along, there's a lot of cool stuff as far as all your meals. Here's some great things for desserts and snack ideas. You can have desserts, but she gives you the 4 different areas: the nut and the sweetener, the flavor, the different additions to make your different types of raw desserts. She goes how to make a crust, a filling, other dessert and snack ideas. So it's a great book to have as a resource. Say you're out to the store and you're not sure, okay, I'm buying this bread, and maybe you got off the path somewhere and say, well, what did she say about grains and stuff? You look it up here. Another thing is, this is a great thing to set up your different goals and stuff. Say you're trying to get out of eating unhealthy. Maybe we can try to attack foods that are less sodium. Maybe we can try to fit in some alkaline foods. Okay, let's start maybe eating more plant-based foods. Like I said before, the raw nuts. I mean, there's all different things from your beans to your meats. It's all in here. Trying to make you creative, trying to make you empower yourself to create your own meals and stay away from your processed foods, and try to have a more of a healthier diet, because a lot of our foods that we do eat today, they're not man-made, but we're self-inflicting them on ourselves through obesity, through the different having cancers and heart attacks and what have you. So this is a highly recommended book, and something like this, you might need some sort of like steps in between, because it's going to be hard. Because some of the stuff that I wrote in the past, like if you're so used to eating a lot of sugar and stuff, you're going to have to find paths to start cutting that out. Because I had one where it's the devil's playground when it came to your eating, your taste buds, because most of us, we don't really know what food is. We know what salt is, we know what sugar is, we know what saturated fat is, because it's all what we eat, and you taste it, and all of a sudden you hear people say, oh yeah, that food's so bland. Well, no, you don't know what food is. You know what the salt and the sugar and so forth is. So that's all I have for you. Again, it's healing and prevention through nutrition. The author is Avito Shell, and it's a natural and holistic approach for how to eat, what to eat, and why for optimal health. I'll put this on my blog. I'll put where you can get the book. It's highly recommended. Like I said, you can never put too much. It's very valuable for your health and learning how to eat. So I want to thank you. You have a good day, and get your blender out for a smoothie. That's all I can say. I'm going to get one.